Now, you may or may not think you have baggage, and you may or may not have baggage. Some of us left a wonderful job, we're moving to a new wonderful job. That's great. But this video is for people who aren't sure or are very sure that they've got some baggage. If you're not sure, it's worth checking, because a surefire way to turn an awesome new opportunity into your old crummy situation is to not look at what was going on for you in that old situation and make plans to avoid it in the future. So, we're going to do a couple of guided exercises. I'm going to tell you to close your eyes, to pause the video so you can follow along in whatever way works for you. But have fun, and let's get started. So I'm going to start by asking you to close your eyes and visualize your awesome new job. Think about what it looks like. What's your environment like? What kind of things are around you? What are you wearing? What people are around you? What can you see? What can you hear? Is there music? People talking? Paper ruffling? Can you smell anything? Maybe you can taste something. Take a minute. You can pause the video if it's not concrete enough for you yet. But when you're ready, open your eyes and take a minute to write down the most surprising, interesting, concrete, and important elements of that visualization of this future job. You can even take it further. You can do a dream board, make a Pinterest page. The goal here is to make this future very concrete. Sorry about my sneezing dog. The goal is to make this future very concrete in your mind. And now I want you to take another piece of paper. You can use a red pen if you want, totally up to you. But I want you to write down all of the yeah buts that popped into your head, all the reasons your brain told you you can't have this. Every message that your inner critic came up with that told you you didn't deserve this situation, you couldn't have it, it wouldn't happen because of this, or this was going to go wrong, whatever thoughts popped into your head. And now for the purposes of this exercise, I'm going to ask you to pick the biggest, scariest one, but you can repeat the rest of this process for as many of these as you want to deal with. So look at this situation, and I'm going to pick an example, which might be that my boss won't respect me. So why this is an issue for me is not that important for this exercise. I can think about it if I want to. You can think about it if you want to, but I don't have to for this. What's important is to look at this situation and ask myself, how would I know if this was starting to happen? What would be my first indicator? So it might be that my boss second guesses my decision, or micromanages me, or says something that I feel like undermines my authority in front of other people. So whatever that is, go ahead and write down the red flags that might indicate that that is going to come true. And now I want you to think about those red flags and ask yourself, how is it in your power to address the situation as soon as you see that red flag? How can you stack the deck in your favor? So for me, say I'm afraid that my boss is going to not respect me, and that I've decided an indicator for that is that they're going to say something that undermines me in a meeting. An example of how I might, nip that in the bud, stack the deck in my favor is, I know about a certain way of expressing myself, a non-confrontational speaking technique that I feel like might be really useful in this situation. So if my boss says something in a meeting that undermines me, I'm going to ask to speak to my boss when they have time, make an appointment, and use that structure of I notice, I feel, I need in a conversation with them. So, hey boss, I noticed in that meeting that when you said blah, 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 I felt really undermined. And in those meetings, I really need to feel your support in order to do my job effectively. People generally don't get offended by that, but I know that, yeah, that could be a contentious conversation. Yes, theoretically, they could be offended by what I have to say, but at the end of the day, I'm going to feel proud of myself for standing up for myself and drawing a boundary. And by doing it about something really small, the first time I feel undermined in a meeting, I'm not turning this into a huge, contentious, confrontational conversation. I'm going to encourage you to take each red flag and come up with a way you can tackle that situation, a way you can stack the deck in your favor. And if you want, you can make a SMART goal around it. If this is something that you're going to need to do regularly, or in a very concrete way in order to make happen. So say I'm worried that my boss isn't going to consider my ideas. I might make a SMART goal. So that's specific, measurable, achievable, reasonable, and time boxed. There's some different ways people use them, but that's the way I learned them. So I want my boss to consider my ideas. So I'm going to decide that once a week, I'm going to pitch my boss an idea. So that's specific. It's I know what the time frame is. I'm going to do it each week. I'm going to do it by Friday at 10 a.m. So I have time to put it together, and I know exactly when it's due. I think that is achievable. I have a lot of ideas, and that's a reasonable amount of times to be contacting my boss. It fits into my schedule, and I know what the time frame is. So you've got some tools. Look at your red flags. Look at all your yeah buts, everything your inner critic had to say, and kind of go through and make some plans for how you want to address each of those situations. And what I found in working with my clients is talking through stuff like this shifts your mindset to a place where you feel powerless and at the effect of this situation, this new opportunity, and like you have no control over what's going to happen. 2, feeling like you're completely in the driver's seat and you know exactly how you're going to tackle anything and every situation that comes your way. And often that shift in your mind does enough that you're not actually going to need to do a lot of the things that you outlined that you might do if these red flags show up. So good luck. This is going to be amazing. Check your baggage and step into this new step with a lot of fresh, clean slate energy.